Well, hello and welcome to the first bonus session of the Smart Google Traffic course. I am your host, Brett Curry. Really excited to be talking about this particular campaign type. And so to kind of kick off these bonuses, the bonus modules are all about going higher in the funnel. The core of our course was about being everywhere your customers are and really looking at remarketing on every channel. So using search for people that are looking for you. So branded search campaigns, owning the real estate on Google for your brand searches. We looked at brand related Google shopping, or expanding that a little bit and looking at Google shopping for remarketing. So we looked at some campaign types that would work even if someone forgot about you or they're not searching for you by name, but they're on your remarketing list. We built campaigns during the Google Shopping session to teach you how to do that. Now we're kind of going higher in the funnel, looking at different channels for prospecting. And so the first one I want to start with is Google Shopping. And the reason for that is it gives you the best chance of success as you look at prospecting or going higher in the funnel. And so we're going to look at my favorite campaign type, and we're going to go ahead and build one. I'm going to build one right now inside of Boom. Now, this is something that, in the final version of the course, we'll have some slides and things to go with this. This is just going to be hands-on. I'm going to be walking you through this account, and we're going to build a campaign on the fly. So there's a few different Google Shopping campaign types that we might look at or that I might recommend, not for everybody. There's what we call a top product campaign, where you would bid really high on just your top products. And the idea behind that is you would show up for generic searches, so maybe the generic queries in your category. You want to lead with your top products, your top converting products there. I'm not going to walk through that campaign type though here. I think this campaign structure is going to be more beneficial. I would call this a primary, and specifically a primary aimed at similar audiences. And so let's just get this party started. So here we are, all campaigns. We are going to go ahead and expand that and go to, my bad, the new interface. Got to love the new interface. So we're going to go to Google Shopping and work on creating a new campaign there. So here we are at Google Shopping. Going to go ahead and create a new campaign. And I'm not sure why this message keeps popping up. That's super annoying. Going to go Shopping. And here we are. So at Shopping, we're going to choose again, remember our Merchant Center account. So the product feed is a critical component of this. We walked through how to create that feed in the Google Shopping session 4, I believe it was. So go back and look at that if you need help with the product feed. The product feed is super important because that's the main source that Google's going to look at as they determine what keywords you're relevant for. They're also going to crawl your product pages. They're going to consider your bid, which we'll talk more about bidding as we go here. But it is important that you have that feed built out. And so that is all looking good. We're going to click Continue. And there's our friendly message again from AdWords. Geez. Okay, well, we're just going to keep going here. So we're going to call this Boom. We like to use abbreviations like that. SH for shopping. You can kind of do what you want to do. And then I want to call this Similar Audience, okay? And then this is our primary. It's our primary because it's got all of our products in it, and this is going to be one that we send a lot of traffic to. So it's just kind of our naming convention. Ultimately, guys, the name of your campaign does not matter. Google doesn't care about the name of your campaign. This is strictly for your benefit. And so that's what we're going to call this bad boy. Our country of sale is indeed United States. We are going to go with manual CPC. We're going to enable enhanced CPC. And basically, for those who don't know, enhanced CPC, you're basically giving Google the opportunity to bid up or bid down based on whether they think someone is likely to convert. So they'll look at a variety of things, everything from time of day to the individual user, and determine, hey, this click is likely to convert, we're going to bid up a little bit for you. Or, hey, this looks kind of fishy, this person never buys, or there's some other issues here based on the connection speed of the user or whatever, so we're going to bid way down. And so enhanced CPCs, we essentially always recommend that we turn that on. Daily budget, this is up to you. So you will want to keep in mind that, if you start with like a $5 daily budget, and you're bidding $1 per product, that's going to seriously limit your exposure. Google's going to throttle your impressions right from the beginning because of that. So, usually you want at least, 30 to 50 a day that you want to plug in as a beginning budget. Obviously, you do want to watch that very closely. As I mentioned before, I prefer the accelerated delivery method. That just allows you to know quickly when you're running out of budget. For a brand specific campaign, I always want to go accelerated. For this type of campaign, it's up to you. But I like to go accelerated. I'm going to keep this at medium. We like to keep most things at medium. Just gives you options. Basically, if you remember from the Google Shopping session, if you have the same product in multiple campaigns, Google is first going to look at priority when they're determining which one to show, or which campaign will win the impression, and then they look at CPC. So typically, we like to have all of our campaigns at that medium priority level, and it just kind of gives you flexibility. If you get into high and low priority, you can sometimes do that seasonally, where you may have, hey, I've got a different bid on these products, but it's just for holiday, and so I'm going to make it a high priority so that it will win the impressions. But that's more advanced. We really don't need to worry about that at this point. So just set it at medium. That'll kind of put all your campaigns on the same footing. And then I do like to look at all devices. We have set this up in the past where we bid down on everything except for one particular device type. So you could set up a mobile campaign, a desktop campaign, and a tablet campaign. But again, I think in the beginning this is not necessary. So United States, you can further narrow down your targeting if you'd like. Going to go ahead and click Save and Continue. This is where we're going to continue with just the Google Shopping ad, so the individual PLA, not the Showcase Shopping ad. This is more for like a category. This could be kind of cool. We in the final course we'll maybe talk about some ways to utilize this. But for now, for this campaign, let's just do this. And then I like to name the ad groups similar to the campaign name, because depending on your view, you may see ad group name or campaign name. And if you remember the hierarchy, where there's account and then campaign and then ad groups are under campaigns. So I like to name the ad group something that makes sense. In terms of the bid, so there's a couple of options here. I don't start too high, but also you run the risk if you bid too low that you're just not going to get very many impressions. Now, if you've got really strict return on ad spend goals, where let's say you're wanting to right out of the gate hit, a 5x return on ad spend. So if I spend $1, I need 5 in sales. You're going to want to start pretty low on this because you don't have much budget to waste, right? But if you're willing to kind of let this run for a little while and optimize as you go, then you can bid a little bit higher. So let me actually give you a formula that can help you come up with your initial bid. Okay, so here's how I would look at your max CPC. And, like I mentioned, if in the beginning you've got the flexibility of let's just spend and test, and if we don't get a great return on ad spend in the first month or two, that's okay, because I just want to learn and I want to get this thing dialed in over time, then great, you can bid a little more aggressively. And that's kind of how I'm going to set up this campaign for Boom. But if you need to really hit a particular target, then I would use this formula. So if you look at your available profit, or another way of looking at that is your average profit. So on an average order, I make X in profit. And I would not get too complex here. it's up to you, but I mean, you could factor in, overhead and things like that. I really like to look at this more along the lines of sales price minus cost of goods sold. That gives you available profit. Again, we're just trying to get accurate in our bidding, not, get down to the minute detail. But take it as far as you want, totally up to you. But available profit times your conversion rate equals your max CPC. So if on average we make $25 per order, and if 2 out of 100 or 2% of all visitors actually purchase, then I could pay up to 50 cents CPC, and that would allow me to break even. So basically what that means then is for every $25, I'm getting enough visitors to break even and to cover that. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, if you need to make a little more, then maybe you start reducing that a little bit. And another thing to keep in mind is when you place your bid, you're not going to pay more than that bid. You'll often pay a little bit less, so keep that in mind as well. But just in, this is a scenario that's not too uncommon. $25 average profit per order, 2% conversion rate. We could bid max 50%, 50 cents. And so that's one thing to look at. Anyway, for this one, I'm actually going to go with $1, and I'll show you why. Un momento. But I'm going to go $1 on that. Click save. And then here we go. So as a default, Google is going to put all the products together. Now, if you hover over this, it's going to show you all your products. Now, we have some clients that have hundreds of thousands of products, no exaggeration. One that's pushing 1 million products, and so that certainly changes the game here quite a bit. But likely, most of the folks on this are going to be in the hundreds. Boom, 8 products in the feed. That's what we want to focus on for Boom, is just 8 products. So it doesn't have to be a lot per se, but there's 8 products in this feed. Now, we do want to break this down so we can see individual products. So if you remember from the Google Shopping session, we went here, and now we're going to subdivide by item ID. And we do that because then that's going to put every item on its own, and we'll be able to see the results of every item individually. So we're going to go ahead and select all of those and click on continue to edit bids. I actually don't want to change the bid on any of these products. We're going to, and in fact, we're going to be changing these bids at least weekly to really start to optimize what we're doing here. But I'm going to start with just $1, and the reason why is because I'm mainly going to focus on still a relatively targeted audience. I have no idea why AdWords is showing that message. It's super, super annoying. Anyway, okay, so this new campaign, or this new AdWords interface is kind of giving me fits. So we're going to switch over to the new interface. I don't know why that message keeps popping up, not allowing us to actually make the changes. Let's go here to shopping. So what we're going to do here with this new campaign, I'm going to pause it now until we're able to finish our setup, but I'm going to click through to that. And the reason I'm willing to bid $1 on this is because we're going to target similar audiences. And so here we go. We're going to click on our audience tab. We're going to add our targeting right here. So we're going to click on add campaign targeting, interest and remarketing. And then we're going to look at remarketing lists. Actually, we're going to look at similar to remarketing lists. That's what we want. And so here we go. So these are the audiences we want to look at. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add most of these similar to site visitors. And here's the idea. With this campaign, we're not just going to be looking for people who are searching for Boom, or who are typing in a really long tail query. We're maybe going to be going a little bit higher in the funnel. So this could be someone who's typing in natural skin cream or natural eye serum or things like that, where that's a little more competitive. And given the branding of Boom, we don't want to show that to a 19-year-old. We want to show that to someone who's similar to the visitors of the site. And so while this isn't perfect, it gets you pretty darn close, where we look at similar to all visitors, a couple different audiences. What's really important then is if we can look at similar to your customer list. And so those are definitely lists we want to look at. Now, some of these are actually kind of small at this point. And so you can imagine if they're kind of small for Boom, they'll be even smaller, if your traffic is less than Boom. And so we do want to look at all of these visited cart recently, because these are a little bit better audiences, right? If someone visited the cart, they are more like our best customers, right? And so what we want to do then, and this is why we're willing to bid a little bit more, is because we're going to do this option right here, target or bid. And in the new interface, it's called target, I believe. And so we're going to choose target and bid, just like that. And basically what that means is if you choose bid only, it just means it's going to layer in those audiences. You'll reach more than just the audience, but it's going to layer them in and allow you to bid differently for that audience. If you choose targeted bid, that means it's only going to show to that audience. So this is just one way of using Google Shopping and saying, hey, I'm going to narrow this down to at least people that I know are similar to my ideal shoppers, right? So those are the audiences that we're going to add. We're going to click Save. And now we've got these audiences. And so here's what I want to do. I want to go through and start making some bid adjustments on the ones that I know I want to make bid adjustments on. So if it is similar to add to cart, I'm going to increase that by 25%, just as a starting point. If it's someone who's similar to add to cart, increase that by 25% as well. And so actually, to make it a little easier, if you're looking at all the ones, it's the add to cart ones that I would want to adjust a little bit. And so then we're going to go edit, change bid adjustment, and increase by 25%. And so that's what we're going to do there. Now, you don't have to do that. That's just something that you're usually pretty confident once you've got these lists, similar to customers, similar to all visitors, similar to visited cart, things like that. You're going to want to bid up on them. The rest you can kind of leave and just watch the performance and see how it does, and then bid up or down based on the performance that you see. Now, one of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and add some negative keywords. And we've got a list of negative keywords that we add on every account. And these just kind of cover the basics. You're going to want to add more negatives as you go, looking for things that are irrelevant, that for whatever reason Google finds to be relevant. You're going to want to negative those out or get rid of those. But let me show you kind of the standard list that we look at. And this is something that I would recommend you add as well. I'll include this. So you'll have this as part of one of the cheat sheets. And so if we go here to campaign, then I've got that one paused. So we need to go to all but remove so we can see the paused ones. We go here to this similar audience campaign. And then we're going to click on the keywords tab. And we're going to campaign level, add some negatives. Now I've just got these all saved, so I'm gonna add those in. But let me just kind of walk through a few of these. These are in alphabetical order. Not all these will necessarily apply, but things like workshops, workshop, university, secondhand, school, salary. It's interesting. You never know. Like even with Boom, people that type in things like skincare product salaries. Salaries in the skincare business and things like that, or pictures or photos. These often aren't going to trigger a Google Shopping result anyway, but it doesn't hurt to drop them in. You can decide on the comparisons, and actually I'm going to keep comparisons in on this one because I think it would actually be a good idea. But things like coupon, course, counterfeit, clip, classes, blog, blah, 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 bachelor's, like bachelor's degree, software. So we're going to add those. Now we get some negatives added in. That's going to help us funnel a little bit more and allow us to just focus on the people and the keywords that we actually want. Now let's talk optimization just a little bit. So go back here to the shopping campaigns. We'll look at all the campaigns. Let me get into this RLSA campaign just really quickly and use this as an example. Now, if you remember from our discussion in session 4 talking about Google Shopping, the results here for Boom are just off the charts. And this is largely because Adword does a tremendous job driving Facebook traffic and traffic on other channels. And so there's a lot of people looking for Boom products. And so this campaign, this particular campaign is an RLSA campaign. I just built the similar audience campaign, so we don't have any data there. I actually built that as part of this course. But here's what we're going to look at as we go through and optimize. And this is kind of where the magic happens. This is what you need to do regularly. And I would recommend you adjust these bids at least once per week. And so here's what we're going to be looking at. Let's pretend like this is not an RLSA campaign. So we click through here, we would be able to see all of the products and the results that are there. You would never bid this much if it wasn't an RLSA campaign. Well, I shouldn't say never. Depends on the product. We actually do have some products where we bid this much. We're never paying that much. That's important to note. We're paying only in the dollar some range. So here's what we would want to do. We look here at our columns, and you can see that we've got our ROAS, or return on ad spend, so conversion value divided by cost. Now, these numbers are pretty crazy. So a 5.84 right here where my cursor is. What that means is for every dollar spent on Google Shopping, and actually let me make this a little bit bigger, for every dollar spent on Google Shopping, you are getting $5.84 in sales. So this is actually a 584% return on ad spend. This up here, the 48.57, that's a 4,800% return on ad spend. Okay, so here is what I suggest you do. If you've got a lot of products, we're gonna work with filters. If you don't have a lot of products, you can just do it all right here. But let's pretend like there's several. So what I'm gonna do, excuse me, I'm gonna click on filters. I'm gonna create a filter. I'm going to look at my conversion value over cost, and I'm going to say I want it to be greater than whatever my target is. So if my target is, let's say my target is a 4 return on ad spend, or 400%, I'm going to put a 4 there. And then I don't necessarily want to look if something's just got one conversion, so I'm going to add one conversion here. And then I want conversions greater than 1. So I'd kind of like to see a product after it's sold more than 1, almost anything you can sell 1 of. I want to see greater than 1. And then the other thing I want to look at is I want to look at a rolling 30-day window. So I'm going to go last 30 days. Okay. Click apply. And here we go. Now we've got our filtered products. Now with Boom, that's all of them, right? All of them meet that criteria. But here's what I want to look at. I would take, if you take this list, and if you're always looking at a rolling 30-day window, so then what you're going to do the next week when you pop into the account to look to make updates, you're going to continue to look at a 30-day window. So it's going to be a rolling 30-day window. So what that's going to do is that is going to take into account the most recent data, the most recent 7-day data, but it's not going to look at that exclusively. It's going to look at a little bit broader window because they may have some products that don't sell all that frequently. But they'll sell 2 or 3 in 1 week, and then not very many the next, and then 2 or 3 again. And so if you look at it too narrow of a window, you look at a week, you may be kind of lurching in your bids. You bid up, you bid way down. You bid up, you bid way down. So you don't want to necessarily look at that. That's what that 30-day rolling window does for you. So now we've got these. So then what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to go through and I'm going to select all of those. And I'm going to increase the bid. And typically what I recommend, and this kind of just depends on how aggressive or conservative you want to be, but if we're below, or if we're above our return on ad spend goal, so if we've got everything is over a 4 as an example, then I might just take that and go max CPC, and I would increase bids by 10%. Now, this is important. I like doing percentages because eventually you're going to get where your bids are very different like these are. And so, if you bid a dollar amount, 30 cents or $1, that may or may not be much of an increase for a given product. So I'd rather look at a percentage. So we're going to make that maybe a 10% increase. Okay. And then the other thing that I would look at is let's ratchet this up a little bit and say what about anything that's over a 7? So that's like way over my goal, or let's maybe make it double, anything over an 8. So we'll click on that. And then we're going to say, if it's over 8, I'd be willing to increase it another 10%, right? And so then we could apply that. And that filter's there. And so then I'd want to select everything that is in that filter. Again, with this, it's all of them. And then increase max CPC by another 10%. I'm not actually going to do that. Don't need to in this particular account, but that's how that goes. So then here's what I would do beyond that. Then I would look at anything let's not worry about conversions. Let's say anything that, actually, let's do look at conversion. Let's say anything that has a conversion. So conversion is greater than 0, and return on ad spend is less than, let's say less than a 3. So if our goal is a 4 and something's like in a 3 point something, I'm maybe going to let that just ride for a little bit and see how it's doing. But if my goal is a 4 ROAS and something's below a 3, I'm going to want to work with that and decrease the bid on that. Now when I click apply, it's going to be nothing in this particular campaign. But in your campaign, you may have a few products. You're going to look at those products and you're going to bid down a certain percentage. So again, I would look at bidding down 15 to 25%, somewhere in there, depending on, how far under your target ROAS it is. If it's got one conversion, and again, it's in kind of like, say it's a 2.99 or something, maybe I'll just bid down 10 to 15%, try to get that to slowly get back up to, or get up to where I want it to be at the 4. But you want to start bidding down on things that are not hitting your return on ad spend target. And so the key here is to be diligent, to do this every week, to get in and bid up on things that are performing, bid down on things that are not performing. And the idea here is over time, you're going to be increasing the impressions, increasing the clicks, increasing the conversions for all the products that are generating sales, and you're going to be reducing impressions, and so, reducing clicks and reducing cost for products that are not converting. And one other thing to keep in mind is that, as your bid goes down, you're going to mainly show up for less competitive, longer tail keywords. That's typically the way it works. And so as you bid down on a product, you're going to find a sweet spot, potentially where a product will do well. Other products that are converting very well, you want to just keep pushing on them until you see that return on ad spend drop, or until you reach a search impression share that is super high. So as an example, this is part of what I was talking about before. With these products in this campaign, I'm at 100% search impression share here. So that bid increase that I just did is going to do zero good. I'm getting 100% of the available clicks that Google thinks I'm relevant for. And again, this, if you remember, is the RLSA campaign. So this is just targeting our remarketing lists, not our similar audiences, but just our remarketing lists. And so we are just maximizing those lists. That's where, at this point, we don't need to bid up, because what else are we going to get? You're not going to get anything else really from these products in this this particular campaign. But in your campaign, I would keep bidding up until, if you're still above your target ROAS, keep bidding until you get into the 90s, and then you can look at keep bidding up until you get into the 90s. Then you can look at slowing down. Or you look at slowing down or reducing the bids if you slip below that target ROAS. You're still below your target ROAS. And so that's kind of the key. The other thing that you want to look at is under, not under keywords, under dimensions. You want to look at search terms. And so if we go here to search terms, this is something you can probably get by with, once a month. But typically what I would want to look at is, what's anything that's got a lot of clicks and no conversion. So I would want to maybe just create a filter and say either costs or clicks. That depends on what you want to look at. But I want to look at clicks that are greater than or equal to, let's say 50. Let's say we're looking at, likely we're at a 2% or higher conversion rate. Maybe you're at a 1, and if so, that's fine. But so if you're at a 2% conversion rate, every 50 clicks you should be getting a conversion, right? So I want to maybe filter out where I've got 50 clicks or more and it's less than 1 conversion. So this is where you say, hey, for that number of clicks, we should be getting a conversion. Again, this campaign is so dialed in. There's nothing to do here at this point where we've got this thing rocking. But here, then I would look at, okay, here's some keywords. I've got 50 clicks or more and no conversions. I should add that as a negative. And then you've got the option right here to add it as a negative. Or you can grab it and then go into the keywords and add it as a negative right here. And so that's an option as well. So bid adjustments once a week. Adding negatives, up to you, but usually once a month is going to take care of you. Because if you do it more than that, some individual search terms you're only going to show up for, you're going to get a few clicks a week anyway. So waiting monthly on that is likely ideal. again, remember, you're not bidding on keywords, you're bidding on products, but you can add negatives in cases where you believe that a keyword is not relevant. And so that is the basic setup and the very basic optimizations for Google Shopping for prospecting. In the completed course, we're going to look at a few different campaign options and how these would work together. And it's going to be super cool. I think it's going to blow your mind just a little bit. But, you know, as the first step, as we're going prospecting campaigns, I like this campaign a lot that we just built, and we do these frequently. We're looking at this similar audience. So again, it's every product. We're bidding pretty high, and we're just targeting similar audiences. So just people, you know, this is the equivalent of a lookalike audience in Facebook. We're just targeting that similar audience with Google. So there you have it, setting up a similar audience, primary Google shopping campaign. Much, much more to come. We're going to look at YouTube, top of funnel, and several other top of funnel campaigns in these other little bonus sessions. As always, let us know if you have any questions, and thank you so much.